Welcome to Four Corners of a Round Earth, a podcast that pulls back the curtain on the stories we thought we knew. I'm your host, Trini Gonzalez, comedian, writer, and professional overthinker, digging through nursery rhymes, lullabies, legends, and little lies passed down through generations, and asking, what if those tales weren't meant to comfort us, but rather to control us? Each week we peel back another layer of folklore, fear, and fact, one twisted bedtime story at a time. So let's get weird, let's get wise, and let's get started.
Peter, pumpkin eater, had a wife and couldn't keep her. He put her in a pumpkin shell, and there he kept her very well. Peter, pumpkin eater, had another and didn't love her. Peter learned to read and spell, and then he loved her very well. It's easy to miss the second stanza, the one with the twist. The first wife is locked away. The second wife? She gets his attention, but only after Peter learns to read and spell. Strange criteria for love, isn't it? This rhyme first appeared in print in 1825 in Mother Goose's Quarto, or Melodies Complete, but it likely predates that. It reflects a broader trend of using verse to encode cultural values, especially around marriage and gender roles. The phrase "couldn't keep her" raises eyebrows. Was she unfaithful? Rebellious? Or was she just not the docile homemaker Peter expected? And what does it mean that he kept her in a pumpkin shell? We're not just talking decorative gourd storage here. Then there's his second wife. Had another and did not love her, until Peter learns to read and spell. It reads almost like a morality clause. Education redeems a man and makes him capable of loving. But why did it take literacy for Peter to stop punishing the women in his life? This version suggests the first wife was cast aside, punished, or even killed. The second wife may have fared better, but only because Peter changed, not because she was treated better from the start. The historical context: domesticity and control. In early 19th century England and America, marriage wasn't about love. It was about ownership. Women were property. A husband who couldn't keep his wife might be viewed as weak or emasculated. Keeping her in a pumpkin shell implies containment. The house is prison, the body is property. Pumpkins symbolize fertility, the harvest, and in folklore could even be protective wards or death containers. There's also speculation that the pumpkin shell refers to a chastity device, or euphemism for domestic confinement. In that light, Peter becomes a stand-in for patriarchal control, and the rhyme an eerie endorsement of silencing women who wouldn't submit. In some communities, particularly Puritan and Calvinist settlements, actual instruments of punishment existed for disobedient wives. The scold's bridle was a metal mast with a spiked bit. It was locked onto a woman's head to stop her from speaking. The ducking stool was used to repeatedly dunk women in freezing water for being argumentative or outspoken. Peter's pumpkin might not be literal, but it echoes a very real toolkit of social control. The legal doctrine of coverture essentially erased women's legal identity once they married. The husband and wife were considered one, and that one was the husband. A woman couldn't own property, file lawsuits, or even keep her own wages. In many ways, she was already sealed inside a shell. And there's a darker, more chilling theory. Some researchers link the rhyme, at least thematically, to the 13th century reign of England's King John. He was known for his cruelty and is said to have ordered a nobleman's wife, Maud de Brosseau, bricked alive inside a wall as punishment for the noble's rebellion. It's speculative, but the motif of permanent entombment of a woman, hidden from sight and forgotten by name, lingers like rot beneath the rhyme's playful rhythm. Across Europe, immurement, sealing someone inside a wall, wasn't just a myth. It was an actual punishment, penance, and sometimes even religious devotion. In folk tales and architecture, there are stories of women buried alive behind monastery walls or castle cellars for disobedience, disgrace, or simply existing in the wrong place at the wrong time. Cross-cultural variants. Variants of this rhyme exist across the English-speaking world. In one Scottish version, Peter couldn't please her. In some American versions, it ends darkly, and now he sleeps in hell. These subtle shifts suggest cultural discomfort. Over time, the rhyme softened, removing implications of punishment or violence. But the core message stayed. A man lost control, so he took control permanently. In some linguistic interpretations, particularly Scottish, Neeper, N-E-E-P-E-R, means neighbor. So in some versions, the line Peter, Peter, pumpkin eater may have originally connected to regional storytelling about a neighbor who punished or murdered women by sealing her away. It's easy to imagine that each line was a whispered threat passed from parent to child, a folklore firewall against women stepping out of line. Modern interpretation, the pumpkin shell today. Let's be real. Most of us have lived inside a metaphorical pumpkin shell at some point. The job we hate but won't leave. The relationship that feels more like routine than romance. The version of ourselves we maintain to survive in public. All very tidy, all very quiet, all very contained. And honestly, I think that is the brilliance and the horror of Peter Peter. It masks coercion as care, confinement as commitment. And the shell, well, it becomes the story. A shell passed down rhyme by rhyme. The message whispered into children's ears that they may one day internalize. If you're hard to keep, you'll be kept anyway, one way or another. The second verse is moral redemption. Now that second verse deserves a closer look. Peter had another and didn't love her until he learned to read and spell. Literacy becomes a key, a turning point, if you will. But it also implies that the first wife's fate was a result of Peter's ignorance. So here's the moral. A man can be violent, oppressive, and even murderous, and can still be redeemed by education. That's a common arc in folklore, though women suffer and men evolve. It's convenient, isn't it? That we only get Peter's growth once the damage is done. His learning comes at the expense of her life. We're taught to applaud his change without ever naming his crime. Commentary and a little personal note. growing up, I heard this rhyme, and without question, I mean, it rhymed. It was catchy. I honestly never asked why Peter needed to keep his wife at all. But stories like this slip under our skin. They become part of how we learn gender, power, love, and limits. And until we name them, until we crack the shell, they keep working on us. I remember being a kid and thinking women in fairy tales always just vanished. Cinderella disappeared at midnight. Sleeping Beauty was hidden away. Red Riding Hood got swallowed whole. But Peter's wife? Well, she was never even given a name. So maybe the question isn't, what did Peter do to his wife? Maybe it's, what are we doing to ourselves and each other? Now, dear listener, what do you think the pumpkin shell was? A metaphor, a prison, a coffin, or something even worse? Share your thoughts and theories wherever you watch podcasts, I guess. Next week, we'll feature a few of the wildest or most insightful responses. Don't hold back. Folk tales are never polite, and I guess neither are we. And in the spirit of trying to end this with a little levity, I'd like to give some alternate rhymes that didn't make the storybooks. Claire couldn't care, lost her job and dyed her hair. Nah, I didn't hear that one growing up. Or Timmy Trent made a rent, then ghosted with the last month's cent. Yeah, that's solid. Slumlord, he make you pay your rent and then never fixes the toilet. Or that unreleased classic, Harriet Holmes broke the code, then vanished down a country road. Dark times, folks, but hey, we rhyme to survive. Hey, thank you for listening to Four Corners of Around Earth. If you loved it, leave a review and share with a friend. Next week, Ring Around the Posy, Plague, Panic, and Pocketfuls of Lies. Was it really about the Black Death? Or was that explanation a myth itself?